Hello and welcome to the Studio 25 Podcast Network with Creative Outpost, executive producer David E. Warner. This is Steve Cully's Festivus of Sports. Yes, it's a Festivus for the rest of us to talk sports. And with me, as always, my cohort and partner in crime himself, UConn legendary quarterback Shane Stafford. Shane, it's great to see you again.
It's awesome to see you too. I'm still trying to get the lighting down. It's different between you and Dave.
Your lighting's perfect.
It's crazy, bro.
Your lighting's perfect, dude. Don't worry.
Tony's chop suey. No,
you look great. You look great.
Pale as ever.
You couldn't look any better, believe me.
No, man, it's great to see you again as well. It is.
Yes.
Great. It's always good to be on this.
Yes, it is. I always enjoy your insight and input. So it's a privilege to have you on because I always get to learn something.
Something. It's awesome.
I do. I'd love to get a coach's clinic. Have a little coach's clinic, talk some ball. I think that'd be a blast.
Yeah,
especially I get to learn more about quarterbacks because I don't know anything about them. So I just want them to throw the ball to the right person. That's all I can say.
And get it out quick so you don't get blamed for a sack.
I can say can you throw it to the guy that's open, please? Yeah. I don't know which one it was, but I'm sure someone was open. Just get it to him. And you got 3 seconds. That's about it. So
hey, dude, you give me 3 seconds, I'm getting something done.
I know you are.
Jeez,
I know you are.
3 seconds is a blessing. Give me 2.8 and I'll get something done.
I know. 2.8.
Hey, your boy Dan Orlovsky, man, he made a great point. But I know we're getting off subject here, but he made a great point today about Caleb Williams from
Chicago.
That dude is holding on to the rock way too
long.
Bro.
Yeah.
4 seconds.
He is.
3.8. What are you doing, dude?
Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't have a clue.
Men, as you know, Steve. These grown men, they don't care about your body.
They want to kill you.
On their table, and they will knock you out and try and hurt you.
Yes. They will. They will.
That stuff done real quick.
Well, as we saw, I don't know if you saw the Buffalo game, the Buffalo and the Colts, when Josh Allen ran the QB sneak, and the guy from the Colts was throwing punches at him. He was throwing haymakers at his helmet.
Dude,
I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Bro, they're trying to get up underneath. Man, quarterbacks are so disrespected underneath there.
I was like, that's the most blatant thing I've ever seen. He didn't even try to hide it.
He's my feelings, though. I was watching Get Up yesterday or the day before. I forget what day. And Dan Orlovsky didn't stick up for quarterbacks too well. He said, man,
Thunder Dan
throw up 225. Man, when I was getting ready for the NFL draft and everything like that, I was getting up 225 for 10 to 12 reps, bro. Like, zip. Squatting almost 500 pounds, bro. I was trying to get in, man.
Thunder Dan got ripped pretty good today, though. I don't know if you saw it or not. Dave told me about it. On that show, they brought up Thunder Dan's NFL statistics.
Oh, geez.
And he wasn't too happy about it. He didn't take it as a joke. But I say, regardless. Dude, he played 12 years in the league. Oh. He was a backup for most of them. I mean, he ran out of an end zone, but other than that.
The best job in the world is to be a backup quarterback in the NFL. You get a great – well, maybe not for the Detroit Lions back then because they weren't very good. He was 0-16, 2-14. But – he was saying how he and John Kitna used to sneak off during two-a-days. You wonder why you're losing?
They were, and And they were doing a little Bible study.
And they
They
work
were
together.
they were doing a little Bible study too.
Right. Yeah, during golf.
Well,
Anyway,
because
so
that's when he became a born again Christian.
hey, I'm gonna
These
say
kids
this
that
real
brought him
quick,
there.
Steve. I know we were just kind of messing around, joking. I truly believe, honestly, with it, like sincerely, I think Dan Orlovsky is hands down the best um critique of
Analyst.
analyst, and just I truly believe he is the best out there right now. The way he breaks things down, the way
Yeah.
he takes it from locker room to your average
The,
everyday
the layman.
market
Yeah.
quarterback kind of a person. I think he is hands down. He found his niche, and that dude is unbelievable with what he
Yeah.
does, Steve.
He's
He's awesome.
done he's done very well in a short amount of time. You wouldn't think that he's only done this for a few years. So
Right.
I give him a lot of credit.
He's
And
awesome, bro.
that's a tough job. That is a very tough job, and he has made it work for him, and
Yeah.
he's made a nice career for himself. So
Certainly.
I'm very, very, very happy for him. I just wish that he had come to the Motor City Bowl honoring, because he was such a big part of that.
Yeah.
It felt wrong with him not being there, but
Yeah, he was the leader of the group.
yeah, it was the first year in the Big East, and he led him there. And unfortunately, he couldn't make it. But
There's certain things. Yeah. Anyway, don't want to get off track, but
well, I first had to ask you just about we'll get the bad news out of the way first. The New York Football Giants losing to the Carolina Panthers in Germany in overtime. I was trying to think of the stadium they played in, because you and I both played over there.
yeah,
I didn't know if it was in Frankfurt or if in Hamburg, the Alliance Arena. I got to check that out,
I forget
because
which one that is.
I think that could be Dusseldorf. I wasn't sure, but yeah, they always draw well over there. Germans love football. I mean,
and
that's
we have such an influence over there with all our bases since World War II.
correct.
You know what I mean? So yeah,
Correct.
that's a great question. Where was that game played?
It was played at Alliance Stadium. I was just curious if it was one of the old NFL Europe stadiums that we played in.
Yeah,
Because I just remember they were all tough because they were soccer stadiums,
correct.
and guys hated because the grass came up so easily.
Yeah.
They could never get their footing, and guys would be changing their cleats all the time. So that's why I was curious about where it was.
It was in Bayern Munich.
Oh, it was in Munich. Okay, so we
Yeah.
never played.
So
We
Alliance
never played
Arena
in
is
Munich.
home of club team Bayern Munich.
We never played in Munich. Okay,
Yeah, we never.
so
Yep, exactly.
that's surprising.
Yep.
But I just when you think things can't get worse for the
Yep.
Giants, I mean they do, and they do fast. They got down 10-0 at halftime, and they came back, scored a touchdown. Tyrone Tracy Jr. I mean, he's going to be the back of the future. It's good to see that he's developing.
Yep.
And to be fair, Bryce Young, he's taken so much flack in the first pick in the draft. I mean, 15 to 25, 126, one touchdown. He won a game. I mean, give the guy some credit. He doesn't have a lot around him, and he's doing the best he can.
Yeah.
And Chuba Hubbard was the guy that made a huge difference because they were able to run the ball, and I think that opened some things up for him. I mean, he had 153 yards rushing.
Yeah.
Tracy had 103 yards, but it all comes back to Daniel freaking Jones.
Yeah. And here's what I'm going to say to you real quick. I'd rather say Chubba Hubba because
Chubba.
it
Yeah, I
sounds
like
better.
that.
No, it just sounds better. Like
It
I don't
does.
even know if it's Chuba or Chubba. I just
And
like saying Chubba Hubba.
you
Like
can call
it's
them
like
whatever you
Hubba
want.
Bubba. It's like the gum, bro.
When
I'm
you
sorry, man.
when you rush for 153
Yeah,
yards, you can call them whatever the hell you want.
you can call whatever you want.
Yeah.
We got to make some light of this game for the New
Yeah.
York people, man. Because to
Oh,
your
I know.
point,
I
Daniel
know.
Jones, what is he doing, man? But I don't even want to blame it on Daniel Jones. The guy didn't
You
throw.
don't want to blame it on him.
Not all of it. I truly believe they
He
do
threw
not
2
have
picks.
a great concept offensively. I don't.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. The
I just
offensive
think that
coordinator,
they're
yeah,
putting him in bad situations and
yeah,
he's trying to make too many plays and it's costing him and making now him look like shit, basically. Like he looks like
yeah. No,
way
I know
too
he
much,
does. I know he does.
you know?
And the good part is, well, the good and bad part, his guaranteed money is out. He still has 2 years left on his contract.
Yeah.
If they were to release him, they'd take a cap hit of like 22 million, I think, per year. But otherwise, I mean, they could get out of this fairly easily. But the question is, this quarterback class coming up, is there
Is there a
anyone
guy?
worth it in the
Right,
top 5 that you would take
right.
and go with? And that's why I don't like that there's not an NFL Europe anymore. That's why I don't like that,
Mm,
the CFL really isn't utilized anymore.
yeah.
The
No,
XFL
I agree.
is coming along, but you need plays. You need time to develop. And my whole story, I'd argue with Dave and the other co-host Frank
Mm,
that Phil Simms was horrible until 1984.
mm.
He was there from 79 to 84,
Yeah,
and he was just a disaster.
yeah.
Nowadays, he would have been gone in 3 years. I mean,
Oh,
they
well,
they had
yeah,
no
that's a lot of them. Yeah, you're exactly right.
they had
And
no patience for quarterbacks.
yeah,
No quarterback development, and he's got an okay supporting cast, but other than Neighbors right now, and when Slayton's around, there's not much for him. And I like I said to you before, after watching that Hard Knocks and Joe Shane,
mm,
the general manager, having zero sense of urgency and is basically like, well, this is our roster. But this is like, I can't picture a coaching staff in a front office in a meeting room going through position by position the guys on the list and saying, man, we got him.
yeah,
This is going to win us the Super Bowl. These are
yeah.
the boys. We figured it out.
This is
It's
it.
like, it's like, what are you looking at?
Yeah,
And that's what my other co-host Frank hates. He hates NFL front offices. He thinks they do a horrible job, and the way that they evaluate talent is completely backwards. And that's why we're seeing so many draft classes that just fall apart.
well, it's all
Um,
about egos. It's in the front
oh,
office. It's all
hugely.
about egos. And it's not about what's best for the team. It's about what's best for me and then what is best for the team. Because if they didn't draft you and somebody walks in there not haphazardly, but just randomly, like for instance, me when I went to the Bucks, like I knew I wasn't going to make the team because nobody. I was just brought in as a favor from Jay and John Gruden, like,
Right,
hey,
right,
he's an
right.
extra arm kind of a deal, and I was tearing the defense apart, dude. Gruden pulled me aside, John Gruden, when we're walking the halls, getting some, late lunch meat and stuff like that at like after meetings at like 11 o'clock, he goes, "Damn, Staff, I didn't know you could throw it like that." He's like, "My brother told me about you." He said, "But shit, you're embarrassing our defense right now. How am I supposed to explain this?"
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the GM, I think he's in Atlanta right now. I forget his name. But anyway, man, I knew I was gone because he had told some other coaches. And, man, there's so many names that were out there that
Were you there when Brad Johnson was there?
Yeah, Brad Johnson. McVay was an intern, as well as the one coach, the black dude who was a coach in DC. He was a head coach in DC, I think, or defense coordinator, and he was a head coach, I think, for the Falcons.
Raheem Morris.
Yes, Raheem Morris. Raheem comes to me. He's like, "Yo, can you throw this?" I said, "Man, just tell me what you want me to do. I'll get it done." Like, meanwhile, Warren Sapp's talking shit, and everybody's talking shit, and Warren Sapp's calling where the play's about to go and what's about to happen. Still get these things completed. I anticipate, you know what I mean? Like, bro, I showed all I could do. And
did you get time in preseason games as well, or did they not put you in the
3 reps, bro?
You got 3 reps, yeah.
And no, I never ever got reps in practice with the offense. I was always running a scout team, but I was tearing them jokers up, man. I took it all, and that's when Gruden. And I'm not trying to make this about myself, but my point is, when it comes to GMs and everything like that, it's about egos. And Rich McKay,
right?
I knew if I talked long enough, it would come back to me. But Rich McKay, he was like, "No, Shane's not making this squad. Like, there's no way he is." It was Brad Johnson, Sean King.
Sean
King, Chris Sims. Like,
yeah.
You know what
I mean? I'm surprised they didn't try to put you on the practice squad, or at least keep you there, keep you hidden in case something happened. That's just awful. And they so many teams now, they don't even carry 3 quarterbacks. They go in with 2.
Absolutely.
And it blows up in their face.
Yeah.
But I mean, out of 4 quarterbacks, one's an emergency. You can always keep one on the practice squad. I know back then it was different. There was only 6 practice squad players.
Yeah.
So that influenced it. Had there been now, like there's 12 or 16.
Yeah. So when I got cut by the Browns, when I got released by the Browns, Tim Couch was the starter.
Yes.
And
Derek Anderson. Was Derek Anderson there?
No, he wasn't there yet. It was this other guy. It was 2 other.
I know you're talking about. He got drafted between Tom Brady.
Point is this: the reason they released me from the Browns, I was on the practice squad. After week 1, they lost Kansas City, and people can go research this, but it was when one of the linebackers threw his helmet down against Kansas City. I think it was something Rudd. His last name was Rudd, Rudd, and he threw it down. He threw his helmet up in the air because he thought the game was over, which it was technically, but there was still time on the clock. So they threw a penalty on him. Next thing you know, they end up kicking the field goal.
That's right.
They end up winning. So
I remember that.
Yeah, and Dwayne Rudd, I don't know, but the point is this: the reason I got cut from the Browns was because they had 3 offensive linemen get injured that week. 1 in practice, 1 the next week, and 1 in the game. Like, it was nuts, bro. And I was like, man, that sucks for that guy. Like, he's got to go on IR. He's going to get and I'll never forget this, bro. I was standing. We were doing an inside 9-on-7 drill, right?
Yeah, right.
And so I'm standing there because I'm doing all the run plays and everything like that. Dude broke his wrist or broke his hand, arm, whatever. next thing you know, I get a call. Butch Davis is the head coach in Cleveland. He's like, "Hey, I think you could do good things in this league." He's like, I don't know if you're going to be a starter, but you could be a good backup possibly. I'm going to put calls in." He didn't do shit. But next thing you know, I get cut because they needed to bring 3 more offensive linemen in. Tim
So they
Couch was back
sacrificed the
off
quarterback.
yeah, no doubt. So I was a low man on totem pole.
Yeah, no, I
And
know what that's
this
like.
isn't about me; it's about GMs.
No, I know. Listen. I know what that's like. I know what that's like. I mean, to them, it's like playing checkers. Like they don't understand that these are people, with families and lives, and just hey, you got to be here tomorrow. Get on a plane. Like they don't they don't understand the difficulty that goes into it. But Daniel Jones, 22, 37, 190 yards, 2 interceptions. He took 2 sacks. It's just like, what do you do? I mean, 37 times, I think is a little high for him. If they can keep him at 25 to 30 times passing a game, I think he can be efficient. But it again goes into the game planning. I don't know what they're doing, what they're not doing. I mean, I don't think they're establishing the run soon enough. Tyrone Tracy is averaging 5.7. He averaged 5.7 yards a carry. I mean,
I don't think
with
they're good
those
enough
numbers,
to establish a run.
no, they're not. They're patchwork up front. They're struggling up front, and they have a horrible run defense because Chuba Hubbard ran all over him. But it's like people were talking about the quarterbacks possibly switching teams. Like the Giants may trade for Bryce Young and give up Daniel Jones. Like who knows what's going to happen in the future? Like it's crazy that because in my opinion, I believe that there's enough talent coming from the college level and there's enough talent that's not playing right now that you could have 40 NFL teams. I really think you'd have enough talent for 40 NFL teams or at least 38. So that's what I don't get. It's like I think the talent's there. I just think guys don't get opportunities. Guys don't get the reps.
Yeah, definitely.
And now there's no developmental league for it. Yeah. So what do you do? And hopefully they get something with the XFL, some sort of agreement. But otherwise, the guys get cut and then they just wash out. They don't, they don't get the reps. They don't develop.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say there's enough for that many NFL teams, at least not quality.
35 maybe.
Dude, we don't even have, the ones that are in there now that are quality. Like, I mean, talking about the Jets, the Giants.
Yeah.
Okay. That, man. Like,
You're right.
About all-pro quarterbacks and all-pro wide receivers on the Jets. It's managed. It's a whole conundrum that needs to be like somewhat figured out. And I think the NFL has done a great job of creating competition to where, like, if you have a great record, then the next year you're going to have like one of the toughest schedules.
Absolutely.
That's what I love when people talk trash about, Kansas City. Look, they have tough schedule. Now, granted, the people that they're playing haven't been as good as like the schedule is supposedly saying it is. Dude, there's so much that we can get into about this, bro. It's a deep conversation, man, and it should create a lot of dialogue, in terms of how this goes about it in the future.
Well, like Kansas City, everyone's giving them flack. Yeah, they're undefeated, but they're not playing as well as they were last year. They're just barely winning. Well, winning's winning, whether it's by 1 or whether it's by 100.
Well, last year they were giving them flack too.
But last year they were worse. Yeah, last year they started off awful, and now they're undefeated. They're 9-0, and people are still like concerned
Yeah.
with Mahomes, like he's not playing as well. He's got 12 touchdowns to 9 interceptions,
Yeah.
2,208 yards passing.
Yeah.
And, just looking at some of his numbers, like he's, like you said, he's played against a tough schedule.
What they say, Ricky Bobby said, if you ain't first, you're last. Winners win, man. Like, plain and simple, bro. Winners win. And
Exactly.
losers find a way to lose. Winners find a way to win. That's
Exactly.
what I love about Kansas City, bro. Those dudes are battle tested. Even though they're bored right now. Like,
they blocked the field goal.
Like, they literally can turn the light switch on.
Yep. No, they can.
They are like the Patriots were, 15 years ago when they just turned the light switch on and they said, okay, we're going to start playing.
We're going to run roughshod over you. Yeah. And that's what everyone's saying. Like when January comes around, you'll see it come out. But like Mahomes last year, he had 27 touchdowns to 14 interceptions. He had 4,000 yards passing in 16 games. Through 9 games this year, the halfway point, he's right on track for that. He's right on track for those same numbers, maybe a little more interception-wise. The year before, 41 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. So, I mean, he's just him and Josh Allen are just a different breed. They're a different breed.
Great transition.
They just are. They're. I think it's Mahomes and Allen, and then everyone else. Like I don't know who else I could say is close.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyler Murray is playing very well right now, and that's why I was going to bring up the next great news: the New York Football Jets losing to the Cardinals, 31-6, and just the Aaron Rodgers experiment has imploded. They're 3-7 now. Rodgers 22 of 35, 151. No touchdowns. He was sacked 3 times. And then we talked about Breece Hall being part of the offense. 10 carries, that's not enough for him. That's not enough. 10 carries. He averaged 5.2 yards a carry.
Not even close.
Yeah. And then, the receiving, Garrett Wilson, 5 catches, 41 yards. Breece Hall was second, 4 catches, 31 yards. Devontae Adams, 6 catches, 31 yards.
Now, that's embarrassing right there. The fact that Devontae Adams, 6 catches for 31 yards, and Breece Hall, your running back, averages more yards per catch than your guy, like his guy.
He's averaging the same amount rushing. He's averaging 5.2 yards a carry, and Devontae Adams is averaging 5.2 yards a catch.
Yeah, Breece Hall needs to touch that ball more than we talked about this. Like you said, he's only touching it 14 times. So he needs to touch that thing about 20 times. Devontae needs to get that rock about 10 to 12 times. Well,
as a offensive coordinator, I just remember on Mondays when we're doing the game plan, sitting down, watching the film,
right,
putting our 2 or 3 best players on offense, saying, "All right, how are we getting them the ball this week? What are we doing?" And either one of our top plays, we'll run it out of a different formation or a different personnel group. We'll give them a different look for it. But we would always put together several plays, 5 plays, 8 plays, 10 plays to get the ball to our playmakers.
To where they're the number one target.
Absolutely. On those plays.
Totally agree.
You have that built in. And I know coordinators like to script the first 20 plays and try to stick to it, but when you script like that, sometimes you're going to get in situations where you're going to have to go off script, and you got to have stuff in that you've practiced. You got to have stuff in that the guys know, and you got to have stuff in that the guys execute. But Kyler Murray, I give him credit. He took a lot of flack last season. And then, they said he wasn't watching enough film. And now, he's got 2,000 yards passing, 12 touchdowns, so only 3 interceptions. So, and he's on the smaller side. He's like, he's like Bryce Young. He's 5'10", 200 pounds, but he's distributing the ball much better. He's not putting it all on his shoulders, I think. And they're running the ball a little bit. So
Kyler Murray is 22 of 24. Are you serious?
Yeah. It was the 91% completion percentage, 266 yards. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Like Dallas needs to blow up their whole deal, the Jets need to start over as well.
I think the Jets,
if they could,
Jets are going to go through a complete rebuild. At this point, they got to get through the season. Rodgers, I think, whether he wants to retire or not, I don't think he's going to have much of a choice. I mean, unless a team comes in that has the pieces in place, I don't know where he goes.
Let me ask you this real quick. I know they buried Jimmy Hoffa in
Giant Stadium.
Yeah. And so do you think that's where they bury quarterbacks now that go from any other team to the Jets? Happened to Favre. It's happening to him.
Dude, Favre was good for a while until his arm fell off.
I mean,
his arm fell
went
off.
to a championship. But who was the head coach at the time?
Mangini.
Yeah.
And he got fired.
He had a defensive mindset. Like,
yes.
I was joking when I said that, but it just seems like, East Rutherford is just a burial ground for.
Well, Zach Wilson, I didn't think he was a great pick, but they give up on the guy after 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't think you can evaluate a quarterback effectively in 2 years. I think he needs a little more time than that.
Well, especially when he's your guy.
You picked him second in the draft. Yeah.
You got to build around him. I thought he was an accurate passer. He threw it on time. He could make plays with his feet. He could throw the deep ball. But they just gave up on him. He was small. I don't think he was a great leader coming from BYU.
Yeah, he kind of whined a little bit.
Kind of mentality over there in BYU. So he probably didn't mesh well with some of the brothers from the hood. You know what I mean? Like, you don't really at BYU see many thugs.
No.
I mean, just being real, bro.
No, that's when you go from BYU to New York. Yeah,
to New York,
a little bit of a transition.
Culture shock, bro. Hey,
that is true culture shock.
What is going on?
true culture shock. But
that's where you said it earlier. That's where general management needs to come in and say, "Hey, maybe he's not a good fit. He may be a good quarterback, but possibly not a good fit for the culture." Here.
Right. If you think like you're going to take a guy from BYU and bring him to New York City, and you think that's going to work? I mean, Jim McMahon went to the Bears, and that worked for a little while, and he was out of his mind. But otherwise, that's a tough BYU quarterbacks. I mean, it's tough. Like Ty Detmer. I mean, I remember him. He lit it up, and he struggled too in the NFL, and his brother as well. It's coy. It's crazy. Quarterbacks are just they're finicky.
But you're going way back to the 80s now.
I am 90s. 90s.
Like, I feel what you're doing there. And Steve Young, like he went to San Francisco.
That's right. He's BYU guy. Yep.
He's a great fit for San Francisco because that culture is a little bit more BYU-ish.
Yeah.
So
tolerant. Yeah. I get you. I wanted to ask you, since we brought this up. So the Patriots got their first win, I believe, since the first game of this. No, it's their third win. But they got another win, and Drake May is coming along. They had plans, obviously, to sit him and have him learn, but they eventually behind Brissett, but they eventually played him. Yeah. He's shown some growth. 15 of 25, 184 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. And then, like you talked about, Caleb Williams, 16 of 30, 120 yards. And the Bears at one point they were in good shape. Yeah. And now they're 4-5. I think they've lost 3 in a row, if I'm not mistaken. So this one just baffles me, because early in the season, everyone was talking about how the Bears put their team together the right way, how they put so many good pieces around Caleb Williams. And so it didn't, they didn't put it all on his shoulders.
They actually did put some good pieces around him.
They did. I agree with you. I agree. With Swift, I always liked DeAndre Swift. Yeah. The receiving core, they got Keenan Allen, who had been out. He was back. DJ Moore, the guy they drafted, Rome Adunze. I can't say his name.
Yeah. No, I got you.
Yeah, no, I mean they have the pieces around him, but like you said, guess how many times Caleb Williams was sacked?
I don't have to guess. I think it was 9, wasn't it?
9 times. Yeah. 9 times he was sacked.
He was sacked, I think, 15 times in the last 2 games, if I'm not mistaken.
So it's like, okay, you're taking 9 sacks. Now that's not all on the offensive line. I'll give the offense a little bit of credit. You can't.
No. I'm with you 100% on that one, bro.
You're right. He was sacked 6 times last game. Oh my God. Jesus, yeah. So
that's on Caleb Williams, man, and that's on the offense coordinator. But can I say something real quick?
He threw 41 times last week against Arizona. Like, I wouldn't throw the ball 41 times with this guy.
Number one, that's foolish. When you have DeAndre Swift as your running back, you can get yards. But my thing is this. That's poor coaching, in my opinion. I agree with you. Their offensive coordinator and whoever it is,
and I'm pretty sure he got fired too.
They are not making it imperative for him to hit the top of his drop, hit his feet, and throw. This dude is comfortable. And Dan Orlovsky actually said this too, and I totally agree with him. He said at USC, he always tried to make plays because he was that good of an athlete. So he could hold on to the football. But what you cannot do in the NFL is hold on to the football, because you're going to get yourself hurt, number one. Number two, you're going to lose football games.
You're going to turn the ball over. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You cannot do that, man. You got to hit the top of your drop. You got to play fast, but under control. Like, this dude is sitting back there, hitching, throwing. No, you got to anticipate. He's terrible at anticipating. I don't think he trusts himself right now. I don't think he does. I don't think he trusts his receivers, and I don't think he trusts his coaching right now. It shows. No. That's why you hold on to the football as a quarterback from experience. When you don't trust what the play call is, you don't trust protection, you don't trust your receivers, you cannot just let it go back there and rip. And that's a problem.
Well, and they fired their offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron. He was fired 10 months after being hired. That just amazes. It's, again, like, you don't think of these guys as people. It's just you're in and then you're out. You moved your whole life to Chicago, and then 10 months later, you got to put your house on the market and you're out.
Bro, do your job.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. Do your job.
Man, if you get in this profession,
not for long.
Do your job.
Yeah.
There's no love lost, man. You know as well
No,
as I do, man.
next man up. That's how it is.
Whether you're an offense coordinator or whether you're the quarterback, man,
Right.
do your job, bro.
And I think Matt Eberflus could be next. I
Hold
mean,
on, say that name again.
the head coach of the Bears, Matt Eberflus.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear you say it again.
Eberflus. I watched Hard Knocks, so I saw him,
Great name.
and he seemed like he did seem like a cool guy, and I liked his interaction with Caleb Williams. He was very kind of patient with him,
Yeah.
and soft spoken with him. And Caleb Williams was like really really calm and chill. Like you didn't see any like panic, but like you didn't see like fire or like sense of urgency out of him.
Yeah. I think they'll work well together potentially.
Well, I mean, they are 4-5. They've lost 3 straight games, and they've scored 27 points over that stretch. So, I mean,
that's so bad.
I'm not for firing coaches like this in season. And when you got off to a good start, and you did have 3 straight losses, but are those 3 straight losses the reason that you're making this change? Or are you now? I know Eberflus is on the hot seat himself. So is he making the change out of his own self-preservation? Maybe that I can understand. I can understand. But on the flip side, Drake May steps in, and you know he bide his time, and I think that he's at least shown that he can win NFL games, and I think that there's a lot that can be developed with him, and I think you can see him succeed. And I think he was a good pick. Like I liked Drake May over. Unfortunately I did say I liked him over Jaden Daniels. I thought Drake May was really good, but Jaden Daniels was awesome until this week. I just want to mess with Dave a little bit because his Dallas Cowboys got smoked. Got smoked by the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy how that worked out. 34-6. Now the Eagles are 7-2. The Cowboys are 3-6. Cooper Rush was just atrocious. 13-23 for 45 yards.
Hold on, did you just hey, you were kick stepping there and you saw outside linebacker coming and you're like,
I'm trying to get my mother out of the room. She got to leave. Go.
No, I love it. I love it. I thought that was hilarious, though. Now I know how good your punch is. Your stab.
Yeah. Snap it right in there. But
no, I was awful.
I was looking at this saying, why not go to Trey Lance? Give him a chance. Like what is so good about Cooper freaking Rush?
Right. Like, I guess they were going. Do you think they were going like off his past? Like, start?
I remember he's from Central Michigan, and I know he's been with the franchise several years. He's been with them since 2017.
Yeah,
he's been the third string guy. He's been the backup. But I mean,
I think they were just going with him, like thinking they could trust him
because he played better last week. I see what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah, and as a starter, he's like 5 or 6-1 until he lost this past game.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Yeah, okay. And so I think they were trusting that. I also think they're nervous about putting Trey Lance out there because I don't know. I don't know
how they could, how anyone could be. The guy was the third pick in the draft 2 years ago. Yeah. I mean, San Francisco traded a fortune to get him.
Yeah, and he hasn't played a lick, really.
And they can't get the guy on the field. Like, and Dallas traded for him.
Yeah.
Dallas gave up a lot for him.
Yeah.
So and now they're saying if Dak Prescott is actually
do
out
you
for the
think
year.
Jerry Jones, do you think he has it all up top right now? Like the real
No,
question.
no. I think Jerry Jones hasn't had it up top for several years.
I think he has like a little bit of dementia, bro. Like
I don't know that I wouldn't say that he has dementia.
Yeah.
I think he's a very, very shit evaluator of talent.
Yeah.
I don't think he knows what he's doing.
It's like he's living off the 90s when they were really good.
Yeah, America's team. Yeah, well, guess what? You haven't been America's anything for years.
America's failure.
Yeah, and you go 12-5 last year with Dak Prescott. You get annihilated by Tampa in the playoffs. Just ran out of the building, humiliated, embarrassed.
Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
No,
it's just no. But I loved it. I love seeing Baker Mayfield get a win like that. He deserved it. It was good for him.
Did you see that play Baker Mayfield made with pushing off who was it from San Francisco? Not too
no, I didn't see it.
Dude, amazing. Like I love Baker Mayfield. I always thought he was good coming out of Oklahoma. I'm getting off track now. I agree with you. This is how like our conversations with Dave Schumann and I, we always get way off track.
No, listen, Cleveland should have never given him up. And Baker Mayfield got punished in Cleveland because he played injured. He had a bad shoulder
every play.
Yes, he played injured and he put up bad numbers. So they dump him. He didn't have to play. He wanted to compete because he's a competitor. And he played.
That about him.
And if Cleveland made the worst trade in NFL history to bring in the massage lover, Deshaun Watson, he's clearly not getting enough massages in Cleveland.
No.
He's out for the year.
He's getting enough dollars.
He's cost them for the games that he's been active for and played. $25 million a game they've paid for him.
Yeah.
When he's healthy. He was healthy for 6 games last year. I think 3 this year. I mean, like, come on. Like, this is they gave up the house for him. And I like the GM.
The massage house.
Yeah. I like the GM for the Browns, Barry. I think he's done a good job.
Yeah.
But like that they gave up everything for him. And when you mortgage your future like that, you deserve this. Like, Jesus.
Yeah. That's where Dallas is though, ironically. Like,
well, yeah, Dallas, I think Prescott has
Dallas is
2 years left.
They're screwed, bro. Dallas is screwed because number one, you have like so much going on in the locker room with your best player, Micah Parsons, making those comments, and he's got to get paid next year. You obviously are paying your quarterback, and you're paying the wide receiver. Like, you cannot pay those kind of guys the money that they deserve because they are that good, but you can't have them on the same team and suck.
No, not at all. Not at all. And David said teams have figured out how to attack Micah Parsons is to run at him. Just run at him. He don't like playing.
Yeah.
He just wants a pass rush.
Because, you got to run at him. Like, it's funny you say that. Dave is so right with that. A smaller guy that's elusive. But the thing is, if Dallas has a good D coordinator, you move him around and you do different things, so you don't know.
Which they had been.
At him.
They had been last year.
Yeah,
they were moving him around, and I watched a few games, and I like that. because you didn't know where he was coming from.
Right.
But yeah, I agree with you. Buffalo and Indianapolis. Buffalo, I know, like I said, KC's undefeated. I think Buffalo's the best team in football. I think Josh Allen is just unbelievable. He's so dynamic. He didn't play his best game. He threw 2 picks. He still threw for 280 yards. Cook ran for 80 yards and a touchdown. And Flacco throwing the 3 interceptions really caused a lot of the problems. So
Sure.
that's what I see.
So you think so let me ask you this then. You think this game is going to determine, like, because right now you're sitting at 8-2 and 9-0 with the Chiefs and 8-2 with Buffalo. This game is going to have a big, basically what you're saying as far as home field advantage.
Yeah.
For the AFC playoffs.
Absolutely. I think if they go through Buffalo, I think it'll be a whole different world. I really do.
Do you think either of these two teams is better than Detroit?
Yeah, I think Buffalo is. I think if San Francisco with Christian McCaffrey back, they could be. They could definitely be a team to watch. Like they're not going to go down easy. I think San Francisco can still come back and get a playoff spot or win the NFC West because they haven't been healthy all year.
Yeah, I agree.
And Christian McCaffrey comes back, they win. So and now they're 4-5, which is good to see. And then I wanted, but Buffalo, I just think is on a different level. I think they're on a different level. I think that they are. I mean, I do think they are. It's either them or Detroit, probably the best team in football. Detroit has some real good quality wins. And then I wanted to ask you about Minnesota. Minnesota, barely beats Jacksonville. Sam Darnold throws 3 picks, but they still come out with the win. And Minnesota, I mean, come on. The NFC North is so stacked right now, and Minnesota is 7-2. I mean, you got to give them credit.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for Sam Darnold because he's another one like Baker Mayfield, who's been a journeyman and cast off and didn't have a home. Jared Goff at Detroit, same thing, cast off. It's just about these guys need time and reps because the Vikings were going to start JJ McCarthy. I mean, they planned on him starting. They weren't going into the season with Sam Darnold. That's for sure.
I will say this. Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, little different. I think Baker Mayfield, his grit is unbelievable. I think Sam Darnold has so much more natural raw talent than Baker Mayfield. I wish Sam Darnold had Baker Mayfield's grit because then he would be a hell of an NFL quarterback. Like he would be a super stud if he had that grit. I think he's a little soft.
Yeah, I know he is. He is. 100%.
I don't think and Dan said this about Jared Goff. He said his best attribute is that he has a short memory. I do not think Sam Darnold has a short memory. I think Sam Darnold, he hangs on to things way too long, and it affects his next play. I always used to say this when I was coaching. Your next play has to be your best play.
Yeah.
Good, bad, and different. Your next play has to be your best play.
Because it's coming. It's coming.
Absolutely. And that's where Jared Goff, I think he is in a perfect situation with his head coach. His head coach understands him. His head coach doesn't care about, hell, he threw 5 picks. I don't know any coach that would keep a quarterback in after 4 picks.
Right.
let
Right.
alone 5 picks. But
Yeah.
that's how much faith he has in his team, and that shows a lot. That's why I do love the
Never
Detroit
thought
Lions.
twice.
Yeah,
Yep.
I really do. The Vikings, I think, can make some noise. They're great defensively,
Yeah.
but so are the Lions. I mean,
Yeah.
to throw 5 picks and still win the football game, you've got to be good defensively, especially against the Texans. Are you kidding me?
Absolutely.
Right.
The Jaguars they beat.
I'm sorry.
But they I think
The
they did play
Jaguars,
Houston.
where he threw 5 picks?
Minnesota did, yeah.
Oh, no,
Minnesota.
I'm talking about Detroit.
Yes, Detroit. Yes, you're right. Yes, you're correct. Yeah, Detroit and Houston. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he didn't think twice about pulling them because that's his guy.
Yeah, that's
And
crazy, bro.
Dan Campbell's a badass. He doesn't care.
Yeah. Everybody made fun of him when he's talking about we'll bite your feet, your legs.
So the last thing I wanted to ask you about was our UConn Huskies
Let's go.
going to UAB. I watched the game after the first half. I wanted to smash my head through a window. I was so frustrated with the offense with Evers. He just looks uncomfortable back there. His footwork looks off. He looks like I can't evaluate quarterbacks.
Yeah.
He looks like he overstrides when he drops back.
I'm not even worried about that.
And he looks like he's got his eyes on the rush and he's not looking downfield. And he missed. It was a 3rd and 8. He missed a wide open crossing route. It was Sheffield. He threw behind Sheffield. Sheffield would have caught it and probably ran for another 10 yards. That pissed me off. And then, he can't execute anything with timing. His timing is just off.
Well, that's
accuracy is off.
Yeah.
And
he reminds me of Caleb Williams. Like
right.
we were talking about. At the top of his drop, his footwork doesn't match the timing of routes. And even when it does, he's standing there waiting to see when a guy is open.
That's not how it works. Yeah.
No, you anticipate. Like that even the touchdown he threw, that deep post early in the game, that should have been gone. Like
he didn't throw a touchdown.
What's that?
Oh, the touchdown that got called back.
Who threw that touchdown then?
Joe Figiano did.
Oh, Figiano? Okay. Well, then both of them both of their footwork, whatever they're doing, they need to correct that. Like
I agree.
Both look slow. They're at the top of their drop. They don't look decisive. They don't look like they're in rhythm, and they just don't look comfortable, man. And so I said this to Dave: when you have two, like they say, the saying is, when you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one.
You don't have one.
So they need to invest in one, and the other one needs to understand the backup position. But what I do appreciate about where they are right now, Steve, is the fact that they're not letting it affect the team. So these guys are working together. They're doing things together, and they're not like destroying one another. Because otherwise, there could be like a decisive, or the locker room could be
a mutiny.
A mutiny potentially. Like, I want this quarterback. No, I want that quarterback. They're doing much better job of running the offense. I still think the running back needs to get the ball more than 10 to 12 times. That son of a gun, even though he's a freshman, he needs to touch the ball more than that because he makes plays. And they just need to get the ball, the playmakers, man, and get the ball out of the quarterback's hands. But the quarterbacks need to throw it in rhythm, and they're not doing that. And that is on the quarterbacks as much as it is on the coaching, with that. We're not in the locker room. We're not in the film room. But what it looks like is the quarterbacks are not comfortable with what they're seeing. So something needs to change with that aspect, especially if we're going to beat Syracuse. Because McCord up there in Syracuse, that dude's a baller, man. And, we're going to have our hands full with them this week.
No, and that's the thing. It's 2 weeks. But Figiano's he's a 6-year senior.
Yeah.
He's a 6-year senior. And so he's going to be gone. Evers still has 2 more years. He's on NIL money. So what do you do? I think I would sit him, and then I sit him for the last 2 games. I think Figiano gives him the best chance to win. He gives them a threat to throw the ball. So you're not seeing 8 guys in the box. You're not seeing the safeties fly down. And that's what makes the difference in my point of view, that they're not getting with Evers. They're everyone's sitting short because they don't trust him to throw the ball. And he's only throwing fades. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
But you know as well as I do, the only way to get experience is through experience.
Oh, absolutely.
So the guy's getting great experience. I just think neither one has really stepped up to where one's way up here and the other one's down here. They're both teetering right around here. Right, I just would love to see one of them just take control of. I'll never forget when Skip, there was a game we played against Boston University, I think it was, and he gave me the first half and he gave the other quarterback the second half. Well, the first half, I think I was 9 of 11, 2 touchdowns for 100 and some yards. And the other guy, he came in third quarter, started the third quarter. He went the first 2 drives. He went 3 and out, 3 and out. I came back in, boom. I finished the game 20 for 24. It's something crazy. And, my point is this. You have to go with somebody and you have to challenge them, but you also have to do it in what's best for the team.
Right, right.
Obviously, Jim Moore, he knows more football than we could ever forget. You know what I mean? He forgot more, whatever that saying is, than we would ever know.
Forgot more football than you ever know.
At the top of the mountain, his dad, he's from a football family, all that stuff. But I trust what Jim as a head coach is doing. I just hope that, from an offensive standpoint, that they are able to communicate with the quarterback, because that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And I think they need to give the running back the ball a little bit more, Cam.
They got 3 running backs. Yep. Skylar Bell. Yep, they do. They have weapons.
No doubt. Create one-on-one matchups. Create one-on-one matchups with him versus a linebacker on third down in medium situations.
Yeah. They're not taking them. Yeah.
All those details, bro. But I think we're in a good place.
We are. We are
somewhat of a young team.
We do. And we'll talk about it more next week for sure.
Yeah.
Because the games next week, we'll get into it because it involves Syracuse, and we'll give our thoughts and predictions. But
we're second in what is that? FCS independent
FBS
behind Notre Dame.
Yeah, we are. The third is UMass or UMass.
Yeah, right. Way behind.
Yeah, they're going to have problems.
Bowl eligible. We win this game, man. I mean,
it's the first time that we've had 7 wins since 2010.
That's awesome, man.
It is. It's amazing.
Awesome. And we can be critical. But
no, we got to be happy for it. They're doing the best they can. They're doing more with less. I'm thrilled.
Appreciate.
I listen. I'm thrilled. If you told me in July that we'd be 7-3 at this point, I would be very, very happy And I
what
wouldn't believe
sucks
you.
is we should have beaten Wake Forest. We should be 8-2 right now.
We very easily could have beaten Duke too.
Yeah, that's a good point.
26-20 at Duke.
Think about that, bro. We'd be 9-1.
I know, and still, imagine we beat Syracuse and UMass.
Yeah. Well, we better beat UMass.
9-3 bowl game. 10-3.
Go,
It'd be
bro.
the first 10-3 season since 1998.
Since my 98, and then since because they were 10 in Orlovsky when they won that.
No, they were 9-3.
Oh, they didn't win 10 games that year?
No, they didn't go to a bowl game in 03.
I thought another team won 10 games.
No.
Oh,
No.
Right.
You're the only one. It's only you. You're the only 10-game winner.
It was our class, not me.
It was you. You're the only one that won the 10 games. So,
no, brother. It was me, Carl Bond, Philip Hunt.
I know. But it was that group that did it. It was that group that did it. So
you know how I am, man. I'm selfless, brother.
For the Studio 25 Podcast Network, Creative Outpost, executive producer David E. Warner, my co-host and cohort Shane Stafford, UConn legendary quarterback, myself, Steve Cully, the best podcast and radio host in the known universe. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges